Queen of the Damned, though. No, I'm sorry.
I was gonna start recording. Queen of the Damned, vampire movie, right off the bat, right out of the gate. This is now the Queen of the Damned podcast.
The Vampireless.
That was the Aaliyah one, right? Like right before she died.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Like right before.
Was who?
With the horrible John Davis lip syncing.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Oh gosh. Yeah, that was not a great movie. It had
so much potential though.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not a lot of vampire movies are like that. The whole idea of like a vampire, an ancient vampire who loved classical music, discovering modern day music is really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But
for sure. Did
they do it right? Nay.
They did.
They didn't. They just didn't.
You know what they should have done with Queen of the Damned? They should have had Phil Collins should have played the vampire Lestat, and that would have been amazing. Slowly feel the ground below your feet now. Something like that. Two worlds.
I mean, he could have written the entire soundtrack, and it would have been great.
He really could have.
Yeah.
The lip syncing would have been so much worse though if they didn't cast him.
Oh,
it would have been that much worse.
Sure. Gosh. Oh.
I like how we jokingly segued into Queen of the Damned, and now we're having a full-on conversation.
Well, I can always.
And its shortcomings of not hiring Phil.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Oh man. Yeah, it's funny. Like lip syncing is really bad. You know what is really bad? Fake guitar playing.
It's never right. Why?
Why? It's not that hard.
Is it that
you teach them just 3 chords, even bar?
You know what it is? No. You know what it is? It's not the musician's fault in the scene.
Right.
The director goes, just play something, right? And the musician's like, okay, I'm gonna play like D into G, so just play. Make sure you have that going in the background when the sound. Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Sound engineer's like,
got this.
Yeah, I think that's a F. He's just putting in.
I've seen so many movies where people are supposed to be playing guitar, and it's just like they're basically holding on to one note like this and just doing this and making the face.
And the most awkward strumming. By the way.
Yeah,
it's like it's just like the worst. Like I don't even think I strummed like that the first time I ever strummed a guitar.
Just like that.
They somehow found a guy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they. You'd think with the type of actors who put are like Daniel Day-Lewis and like Joaquin Phoenix, like the method actors who get into their Christian Bale craziness when they get into a role, why can't they just find one of those to be a musician? Like it's never that person.
I learned every note.
Yeah, I learned every note. I actually can play anything.
Even notes that the human brain can't even comprehend.
I beat the devil.
I beat the devil.
So, the devil came.
How is the devil? How is he losing fiddle contests to children? That's what I want to know.
That's very true.
No,
that's very true. He's
not very good at the fiddle.
Okay, let's be fair though. He has other things to focus on. Johnny probably had no other hobbies, right? Like I'm imagining.
The devil's eternal, man. Like.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Like he would put his 10,000 hours in just in like a year, if that. Just because he
didn't need the soul right then and there. If Johnny's competition was the
he could have been like, I'll be back when you're 80 and your fingers can't move.
It's like the hyperbolic, yeah. Well, even if it was just, like the hyperbolic time chamber in Dragon Ball Z, he'd be like, disappear, I'm gone. But it's like, 2 days Johnny's time, 2 years devil time. He comes back and he's like.
Can you imagine just his fingers being in a chamber, just
his hands are just in like these portals, like.
Yeah,
you can't see it, but my hands are transcending time and space and learning how to play the fiddle while you're wrecking me on your solo.
To be fair, it worked in Bill and Ted. They were like, let's go in the future when we do know how to play, dude. And they came back with like beards and babies, and they were just like playing the music at the Battle of the Bands. That's pretty much
true
what
that.
They did. So the devil could totally get away with anything like that. He could have at any point just been like, I'll be right back, Johnny. That was pretty good, but hang on. Yeah. Oh, what is this podcast called again? Hey!
Wait, we have issues.
We still haven't done the intro. Hi.
Let's do the intro.
Welcome to episode 3 of We Have Issues with Steven Todd and this guy.
Yo.
Anthony and Steven here with We Have Issues, talking about vampires right out of the gate. Sorry
about the 10-minute conversation about vampires, Phil Collins, and the devil and
The devil
Johnny. Sorry
down to
about that.
Georgia. I feel like the devil spends a lot of time in Georgia, but whatever.
I mean, have you been there?
Yeah.
I was kidding. Sorry, Georgians.
Sorry, yeah. Nothing.
I'm from Florida, so I mean, we got Florida men, you know.
Yeah. I honestly, I've only been to Georgia twice, and both times I was pleasantly surprised, and I enjoyed it. I was like,
one of my youngest memory of Georgia is whenever we would drive to Pennsylvania, we cut through, and I think it's Savannah. I don't know. There's a town we drive through where it's like, all right, kids, get ready. It smells here. And like, yeah, like legit, you would just drive through this town and it would just smell like horrible eggs. So like, that was like my first memory of Georgia was this state stinks. Like the whole state. It's just bad. Throw it away. But as I've been there since.
As I grew older, I learned to love the smell. I now love eggs and Georgia.
No, I've been like North Georgia, Atlanta, things like that now. Yeah. So now I know it's, not the egg town that I used to drive through when I was a child.
Are you saying it's not exactly as you remember?
It is not exactly as I remember. It really scrambled my brain.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Stop. No, we can't do it.
I'm not a fan. I'm not really a fan of puns anyway. It's like my least favorite.
I've learned on Facebook that people love to hate on puns. I think they secretly love them, but they love to hate on them. So let's just.
I feel like how puns work is the person that comes up with it gets that little in their heart when they think of it. And that's the only person that's benefiting from that pun. That's it.
I think that's why I do it sometimes on Facebook, or I'm like.
It's for yourself.
It is. It has to be. I don't really know what else to do on Facebook, to be honest with you. Like I feel like there's like some social media is beneficial for like trying to advertise art and that kind of thing. Or like, if you go on Instagram, you're like, I want people to see the things I'm drawing or making or, pictures. I don't really know what Facebook is. I haven't learned because like when I first got it, I was like, oh, I can keep in touch with my family and, that kind of thing. But no one posts about themselves anymore. People just kind of post like either social stuff or random memes that have nothing to do with what they're doing in life. So,
and the people that post social stuff too, it's not even their post. It's like a share.
Most of the time. A lot of the time, especially recently, I've been seeing a lot of Twitter shares on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I thought I went to Twitter for Twitter, and now I'm on Facebook for Twitter.
Reddit's the same way though. Like when I'm on Reddit, like it's always just tweets and Instagram posts. Like just. It's funny.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've never felt comfortable or really I've never felt like I understood the purpose of Facebook or social media in general, with the exception of like look at this thing I did. Like I made this joke today,
And then all commenters are always just someone that can one up the situation. Oh, that's the only time anyone ever comments.
Yeah, it does get bad. Are you okay? Did you just freeze? Oh,
you froze.
Oh, I froze. So did you. That's weird. All right. Oh. I'm back now. Let me see if it's still recording.
In POG form.
Okay. But so basically, like, I don't really understand how social media works or what we're supposed to do. So I try to ask questions that'll get people engaged, that'll make people want to engage.
That's where we were.
Yeah. So, but it's hard, and it kind of starts to feel meaningless after a while. And if people don't engage, you ever notice? And I know we're doing our ostrich head in the sand thing, so I don't want to get social, but I do want to make one point of if I make a post about something like that's artistic or like the podcast or comics or anything that's really important to me, it's not necessarily crickets, but it's crickets, Whereas
silence.
It is. It's enough to be like discouraging sometimes, And I do have a couple of people who are always supportive, and I really am 100% thankful always, but those people you start to take them for granted, unfortunately, and be like, I know the 3 people who are going to appreciate this and everyone else will ignore it. However, if I post any opinion at all, I'll get 50 comments, 100 comments, a bunch of people just arguing with each other and talking to me or congratulating or whatever it is, just opinion-based stuff. Whereas it's like that could be a freaking super hot take that I took no time to come up with, just some dumb thing that I said in a funny, stupid way, and people want to talk about it. But then if we take this comic book that I spent months making, and I'm like, here's this thing that I made, please look at it, I beg of you. Nothing. Yeah. tumbleweeds. Exactly. Yeah, that's it.
Man,
Yeah,
it's just an unfortunate truth.
It is. So okay, so you wanted to kind of get the characters down and like solidify them a little bit better. Did you end up getting anything done this week?
I did finish the concept for basically Tina's character. And then I just started working on the cover because honestly, I feel like the main character is going to be 90% of the art anyway. So I just decided to start like, diving into it because I do have loose ideas of all the other characters.
Yeah.
I can always detail them better when we get to the, the panels where they're going to be introduced, and then we can commit there once they're introduced. But like I said, I mean, since they're all loosely based off of people in our own lives, it's pretty easy.
It's easy enough. And you think you have the style down, enough. Right? Yeah. So when you've been working on the cover, I don't know, do you dedicate time and sit down and just do it? Or do you find it hard to do that? Or do the kids?
Yeah, my schedule is just way too chaotic to like actually have like dedicated moments in the week. So I sit to like pick these moments because having should be 3, but having a 2-year-old and a 5-year-old, Cammy completely can like take care of herself at this point. She's very low maintenance, but Chase, I mean, she'll show interest in something at any given moment. And then that just takes away that entire moment,
Right.
And Tina works most evenings, so it's usually just me and the girls, on school nights and stuff like that anyway. So I'm trying to get them in a better bed routine now, but we'll see how that works. I started at 6:30 and I finally had Chase done and tucked in by 8.
Wow.
So literally they were in their bed at 6:30. Cammy passed out by about 7. Yeah. Chase was in and out of her room back and forth until like 8 o'clock.
It's almost a full Lord of the Rings movie to get them to bed.
Crazy.
So you just like carve out little moments then before bed.
Exactly.
Around bedtime or whatever.
Yep. Yeah. And I throw a pencil at one of them because they see me drawing. Of course they're interested. Of course I don't want to be a jerk. Like it's tough because like I need to like be focusing. And kids kick. I mean, like I'm in the middle and Chase is just belly flopping on me and everything. So like, I mean, they don't understand that like that movement of the pencil in the wrong direction is going to completely carve into this paper. But so I've been. It's tough, but I'm getting there. I'm definitely making progress. So.
Yeah. Okay, so I kind of asked you this before we started recording, but we didn't talk about it. I wanted to know, since we've introduced ourselves a little bit to people, but I wanted to see if do you remember how we met?
So, like when you and I actually finally met, it was a different story. But when my group of friends encountered you in high school,
okay, that's what I want to.
That moment, that mean moment where everyone was just mean. That's the moment you want to recount.
I want to recount this because that's what I remember. But I was like, I don't remember the transition at all. I don't either. I don't think there's ever been We should explain what happened because no one who's listening knows what we're talking about.
So when Anthony was in high school, I mean, we were at the peak of the emo scene, and he had the awesome swoop, and we, Tommy, called him Spock. So like he looked like Spock. We didn't know who he was, and he was quiet, and he didn't talk to us. So we were the mean kids. Okay, I don't know what you want me to say.
I remember seeing you and Tommy and Mike and you guys already had this like close relationship. So I felt kind of on the outside of it for a while, but then I don't know where the transition is.
When the group softened was the campsite for you because I think you started playing guitar, and then like from there it was just like more like, and Tommy was always great about bridging friends anyway. Like once Tommy's on your side, everyone's gonna love you because I mean everyone loved Tommy. So like I remember like once you started bringing your acoustic and hanging around, and it was like we started to mesh. Obviously, like we lost the talent show to you, so that was horrible. But you know what? We deserved it for calling you Spock. That was like our payment. That was our penance, if you will.
So Steven and our friend Mike and I have a band and we write concept songs that tie into another comic book idea that we're going to be working on in the future. So it was called City on Fire, and then Absentee
initially,
and then now it's Come What May. Yeah. So I like
a lot of titles. I almost feel like it's like it's stupid, but I almost feel like that's like our Destiny comic. That's going to be the one
sure.
because it's just been festering for like a decade at this point almost. I think. In some form, it's been festering for like almost a decade. So that will come out eventually.
Absolutely. We have some of the images from it in our intro video, and I've posted a couple of pictures from it, but yeah, I think we're gonna get to that. I think after this project, that's probably the next thing we should work on, and I think it'll be great. So I guess that kind of works. So I wanted to talk about how traditionally I've always written stuff that was like really high concept ideas where there's some kind of supernatural element or like, larger than life fantasy elements going on. But there's always been some kind of subtext to it that I've, kind of connected to as the person writing it. And, like I've done that with, like I wrote a novel about a guy who dies, and it's basically all about, well, how should I describe this to people? So I wrote a novel that's all about a guy who gets broken up with and gets killed by a werewolf when he gets broken up with, and he comes back as this undead monster. And it's full of these monstery, silly hijinks and, undead flesh-eating monsters, but it's really about mourning the loss of a life that you thought you were going to live, and, like what it's like to pull yourself back together after, you're emotionally defeated, after you're literally killed. Or your heart feels like it was killed,
Yeah, that version of He's Dead Forever, this new version,
Exactly. So I've always written things like that where it's more, I think part of it is the crutch of just like, I'm too afraid to just write about my life, and just say, because I don't want it to be boring or too, or like come across as too pretentious or whatever. And I think that you can get the same themes across and the same ideas, and work through the same emotional, journeys with high concept monstery stuff and supernatural hero stuff and all that. So this idea still has some like high concept stuff with the time travel, but it's way closer than anything I've ever written before. But yeah, I don't know. So I've been really nervous about this because I've always kind of hidden behind that veil of, some other story. And I'm, exposed. I feel so vulnerable and weird and exposed to just be like, this is my life. But
this is who I was,
yeah, this is who I was. But the truth is, I think that's the best way to tell this particular story.
You'll definitely be able to like empty out more of yourself, like squeeze, like almost like the last bits of toothpaste. Like you'll just be able to roll out every last shred,
Yeah. You ever make something for Tina, or like draw something, or make something, or like write a card? You ever write like a really nice note to someone? You ever write something and it kind of makes you well up while you're writing nice things to someone? You ever, like, I don't know how much truth there is to this, but I always kind of feel like if that emotion's coming out while I'm doing it, they're going to sense it more when they're, when they receive it.
It's almost like you're literally attaching the emotion to
and like you're imbuing it with some kind of power, and it's kind of always seemed to work out that way. Like whenever I've noticed that I put a lot into a song that I've written for someone, they seem like my ex would seem to respond to those songs really strongly, whereas like songs that I'll write quickly or things that I'll just kind of do for fun, like be goofy about, they'll appreciate, but you see that it's not that same like deep tether of a response, so I don't know. So I think like this kind of idea, I'm going to do the whole, Hemingway said that writing is easy. All you have to do is sit down and bleed.
True.
So I think that's pretty much what I'm doing here is I'm just going to sit down and just bleed what happened. And
me, Hemingway.
Yeah. Steven, it's my blood and my soul. What are you doing? I'm in this too.
I just imagine like his like spirit coming out of the book as I open. Ooh, Hemingway.
Ooh, it came an extra spirit. It's
good old Ernie H. Doing that.
That new spirit smell. So how do you feel about drawing my life? Is it weird?
That's why I immediately, so here's the thing. When I was drawing the cover, I was like trying to do like this effect, like this part I haven't actually fine penciled yet. I just have like the blue lines. but I have like, you know, the horn of the record player is like right in your face for some reason, because that's just how it works. And like these vapors are coming out and like it's going past you, and it's like a swirl that goes up. Yeah. And in that swirl are like memories. So I had drawn like you and, you know, Voldemort holding each other. And then like once it gets to the top, I drew like her pregnant. And then I was like, wait a second. I gotta talk, because I'm like starting to draw someone's like personal woe. Like it felt weird for a second. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was like, ooh, I'm gonna make him feel something by drawing this. And I'm not trying to do that. So I need to talk to him and see where his head's at in all of this. Yeah. Where he's feeling. Because I don't want to, you know, like it almost feels like I'm pirating like your pain, basically. Right. It felt really weird to express your pain through my art. It just felt really weird for a second.
I love it. Steal that pain. Squeeze me.
Like I'm like Bette Midler. Is that who's in Hocus Pocus? Like, yeah. Take all that pain in.
Yeah. So I have to do some thinking about the children's situation, because I feel like there's a strong moment to be made with Atlas, of course, because I ended up being a single dad who has my child. She only has him every other week for 2 days. So I have him so much, you know, I have him full time, and he's the biggest part of my life. He is, you know, a huge part of my life, and he's a constant reminder of that relationship, but he's also the best thing to come from the relationship. And he's my favorite thing that I took with me. So let's go to questions. So I asked people on Twitter and Facebook some questions.
We actually got some good responses too.
I was surprised by how many people actually asked us questions, and I'm pretty thankful.
Made us feel loved. Yeah. Made me feel important today.
So I asked a couple of days ago on Twitter, and one of my favorite Twitter people asked me a couple of really good questions that I wanted to like run by you. Her name is Holly Bun, or on Twitter, it's at Obi_Bun _Kenobi. Obi Bun Kenobi.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. She's a really good artist. So I won this this weird contest that she was running before to draw characters, and she actually drew Terry for me.
That's awesome.
From my comic. Yeah. So but without ever seeing him, she just asked for description, and I described him, and she drew him really well. Like I should be able to find it.
I haven't seen that. I'm excited to see that.
Yeah, it's really cool. She did a great job, and she's a really good artist. I know she takes commissions and stuff. But anyway, she asked me these questions, and I like them. So the first one she asked was, who is your dream collaborator aside from me? So aside from us, who would you love to work with? If you could work with any artist or writer or whatever in the comic book industry, who would you? Any artist or anyone.
Rick Remender is like, I'm probably gonna be saying him a lot for some of these questions. Yeah. But yeah, because like I feel like I was never into like the variety of independent comics like you were into. I was very mainstream with Marvel. I wouldn't even say I even delved that much into DC. It was pretty much strictly Marvel. Yeah. But I remember when I read Uncanny X-Force, like that I think it was like 36 issues or whatever. Yeah. But it was just like, I loved it from like start to finish. It was just beautiful. And like, I love the way he writes. He'd be awesome. I don't even think my pencils would be worthy of his writing though. So, I mean, maybe I should dumb it down a little bit. Maybe I should pick someone else. But no, Rick Remender's pretty awesome. I think that'd be my dream.
What's that? What was the joke that Deadpool said where it's like, how do you kill a circus? Aim for the juggler?
Aim for the juggler, yeah.
That was good. I
love when he's like, Archangel's like, what are you feeding me? And he's like cutting off pieces of his own skin.
Yeah, it's so good.
It was a good run for sure.
All right. Oh, for me, I would say if I was gonna go with artists, I would say Mike Allred, because I've always loved Mike Allred. Mike Mignola, Hellboy.
I love that style. Oh, it's so cool.
Come here. It's happening.
We have issues.
Say hi, Steven. Hi, Steven. Say,
how's it going, Atlas?
We have issues.
Yeah, we're doing episode 3. You want to be a part of it?
I want to do all of the video with you.
Yeah, all of it with me? Okay. You want to watch the second movie? All right, give me a kiss. right, go ahead. Say bye, Steven. Good night.
Bye, Stephen. Good night.
Night.
Yep. Anyway, so
Wide awake.
wide awake. Did you see that?
Atlas is in the front row,
Just
hammered drunk.
So I would choose if I could work with any artist other than you, obviously, I would choose Rob Schrab. Okay, so you ever read Scud? Or have I ever talked to you about Scud?
You've talked to me about Scud.
Assassin.
That's what I'm saying. Like your comic history is just so much cooler than mine. But
well, to be fair, I think a lot of people would disagree, but I had Gary who just like fed me these indie comics and like made me fall in love with certain things, you know, and like not all of it stuck. A lot of it was just like Teflon or whatever, you know, but the ones that stuck were really important to me, you know, like Batman, obviously incredibly important to me. Scud, The Tick, you know, just some indie comics just meant something to me. And it was one of, I forgot who asked it, but someone on Facebook asked, I think it was my friend David. He asked, was there a specific book that changed the way you look at the comic book medium or like made you realize like what it was capable of? You know, so, and like for me, that was Madman. That's why I fell in love with Madman, because I was like, I only knew before reading Madman and Scud and stuff, I only knew the same like Marvel stuff too, but mostly through the cartoon, like we talked about in the other episode. And for me, it was all only that high concept, crazy, like I have superpowers and I'm fighting the other guy with superpowers type of stuff. And then suddenly I read Madman and he's literally saying, I wish I could be a great hero. I wish I could be a great romantic figure, but there's sad truth is there's something very wrong with me. And he's just like, he's talking about how he has a crush on this girl, but he feels too ugly. And he, you know, and just like as someone who grew up feeling insecure and like having pimples and stuff, and you know, like that.
Had a group of kids calling him Spock.
Had a group of kids calling exactly. So I felt, you know, I've always felt like an outsider. You know, that's probably why I, you know, attached myself to like this punk music and you know the genre movies, and always loved horror movies and stuff. And, you know, just like I felt like the outsider. You start to identify with certain things, and you know, it's a little ostracizing, like alienating, you know, to feel like that sometimes. But then I discover things like Madman, and it's just like I recognize I'm not the only one who is going through these things. Obviously, I'm not like a snowflake, you know, like there are other people who go through this stuff, and it's okay to talk about it, and it's okay to have issues and just work through them, you know, and you can do that in a way that's fun and also weird and unique. And that's kind of, so I discovered that through Madman, basically. And that's, you know, so that's what made me really interested in comic books in general. So
Madman, yeah. What was you got the question, so go ahead and ask the next.
Oh, is it? So do you
like trying to remember?
Do you have any? I can actually look. But do you have any comic books that you've seen aside from the Uncanny X-Force? Do you have any comic books that you've seen that kind of solidified, you know, what a great comic is to you, or what the comic book medium does that nothing else can do?
I feel like comics are able to explore like crazy out there ideas while still somehow feeling grounded enough in the medium that it's in. You know, like don't get me wrong, there's movies that take it really far out there, and like, but those movies are always like few and far between, and they're very notable when they do exist. It's like, oh, this movie was so great. But like movies just can't exist in that medium constantly, you know, like I feel like a comic book story can start with the most chaotic, insane, like, you know, imagery, and just end somewhere completely like crazy. I mean, like, just think about like even Marvel's plot lines half the time. They're so convoluted. Like they're so like heavy and like like containing so many elements that don't matter, but they do matter if you're reading from issue 1. And like, so like, I mean, like, it's crazy. Like it's crazy the things that comics can make seem important.
Yes.
In their own universe and in their own story.
You know what I also I also appreciate about comics is the fact that you can have two stories basically happening at once with the narration and the dialogue. Movies have to choose one or the other. You can't have someone be like, when I was a child, blah, 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 while people are talking. But you can juxtapose like these amazing images with dialogue and narration,
almost like three things happening at once.
It's three
really.
separate ways of telling a story, not to mention the fact that no other medium can as well transcend time. You can at any point, and I'm really bad at this. I'm trying to get better. My comic books, they tend to look like what do you call it? Storyboards for movies. Like I tend to just kind of write like beat by beat, like what's happening, and the character has to tie his shoes, so gonna bend down in this panel. So I'm trying to not do that because I really do appreciate that in one panel you can have a character who's a baby, and the next panel they can be dead, and be like 85 years old, and like that's perfectly acceptable. You can see an entire life in 2 panels, whereas
because between the narration, the dialogue, and then the imagery you're putting forth, you can
you can
comfortably transcend that time.
Exactly, you can tether anything, and that's really interesting. You can also change perspective in a way that you can't with any other medium, because if we're watching a movie, we're almost always following the hero of the movie. They're in almost every shot in the movie, or whatever it may be. Whereas in a comic book, you can at any time switch to anyone's perspective or any character, or literally look at a fly on the wall just to make like a thematic point.
Mm-hmm.
Do whatever you want. And there's also the amazing, like the thing that you're really good at, which is transcending the gutter space in comics, where it's when things extend into the next panel to draw the eye, when the guns flip in a way that also leads your eye to specific areas, and
where you can basically make the whole page, even though there's panels in the page, the whole page itself is the artwork.
Yes, yeah. So it's just the way that you can compartmentalize moments in time while having an overall like magnificent piece of art just in a whole page is amazing. It's phenomenal, and you can't really do that with anything else. No matter what you do, you can compose a beautiful shot as a filmmaker, but you're always kind of drawing the person's eye toward one thing, or they're just kind of looking around everywhere. With comics, you can dedicate time to choosing where people's eyes go, and
and not to mention just the pace in which they can ingest the art.
Exactly.
They can spend 10 minutes on one panel if they want to, or they can just read it quickly and see the pictures and because like, if you read it quick enough, it really does play out like a movie in your head anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean I'm definitely guilty of having just overlooked art when the writing is good enough, where I'll just
Uncanny X-Force too.
Uncanny X-Force.
I would always go back because I mean, especially the early issues. I think they split up. I think around the teens, but like when all 3 of them were working on it,
right.
It was artwork with the coloring with.
It's just so much. It's like what's his name? Alex Ross. You ever see Alex Ross paintings?
Oh my, he's ridiculous.
So he did this. I'm sure he's done a lot of books. I don't know much about him. I just know that he's a fantastic, realistic painter. And he did this Justice series, and I was reading it, and I just found myself going back and forth between not really caring what the story was about, and then because I didn't want to ignore his paintings. So then I'm just staring at these paintings and just kind of. It was almost distracting because it was so good, So, but I find myself either like ignoring the beautiful art and just reading the words, or staring at the art and trying to, appreciate it. And just, it's so funny. Like, you can do so much with comics that I just really,
100%.
I really love it. So I hope we answered that question. I think we did.
I think we did. I think we even more than that. I think they tuned out like.
Sorry, guys.
Sentences in.
And girls and people. If you guys could travel to any era in history, what era would you travel to and why?
I have always very expectedly, because everyone like romanticizes this era of time, but I love the medieval era, like just the whole armor, sword, shield. I'm like nerd to a fault. Like when it comes
to bathe, Stephen.
Yeah, but I mean, I can take a river bath once a week. I'm cool with that. But like, I don't know, man. It's just. I'm sure it wasn't nearly as as amazing as we make it seem now. I'm sure it was very horrible with all the the Black Death and kings and peasants and not eating well. But
Stephen, we're not supposed to be talking about social issues, and you just mentioned peasants and Black Death, which we have issues with all of those right
currently. I'm so bad, but yeah, like that's a. I don't know. That's a cool era. Yeah. I've actually recently, and I know this is another expected one, but I've recently been piqued by Western, like the old, like I don't know why I always thought this.
Yeah.
I'm just a dumb person, but I always thought like Western times was like, okay, what I'm about to say doesn't make any sense, but like I thought it was like 1700s, but that doesn't make any sense because we didn't even start heading west until like late 1800s.
Yeah.
So yeah, once I found out that it was like basically like, like late 1890s, early 1900s, it blew my mind. Like, so all those epic stories of Billy the Kid and all this crazy stuff and outlaws and train robbing and all that stuff happened like not even 80 years before I was born. Like, that's insane, like, to think about, and that definitely caught my interest. I don't know why I thought it was so far away, but I did. Like, how could we be fighting the Revolutionary War while Billy the Kid is also? Why didn't Steven put 2 and 2 together? I don't know.
Have you seen Deadwood?
Mm-mm.
Have you ever watched Deadwood?
This is a recent infatuation of mine. So
okay. Have you discovered the spaghetti westerns yet? The Sergio Leone, no, with Clint Eastwood, a few dollars more, or fistful of dollars, few dollars more, and The Good, Bad, and the Ugly. No, all good.
I mean, those are all like classics for sure.
Yeah.
We just need to go back to
what? John Carpenter's Vampires.
Oh man, John Carpenter.
Cowboys.
It was
and vampires.
Dude, the chains, like when they would.
It was good.
The beginning. There's a lot of good stuff in that.
The beginning of it was great. That whole scene. If the whole movie was like the beginning of the movie, it would have been great. Same thing. Another somewhat vampire movie, Van Helsing. If the whole movie was like the beginning of the movie, it would have been awesome, right? Do you remember the beginning of Van Helsing? It was black and white scene. It looked like this classic horror movie, but the effects were cool, and it was like Dracula and Frankenstein, and it was so cool. It was so cool. Anyway, more vampires. I just brought up the vampire John Carpenter's Vampires because it's a great movie. Oh man. Yeah, that movie's great. That was a great movie. Okay, Josh asked, what underrated comic should be made into a movie?
See, I feel like this is your question. I feel like because I'm just like, all I got in my arsenal is like, I've read, but I mean, I know of characters.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, how about this? What character from the TV shows or from the comics would you like to see in live action movie?
Ooh, like an X-Men, even an X-Men character.
That's what I'm thinking.
But like, I feel like, well, no, they did do him some justice in Days of Future Past. But Quicksilver's always been like one of my favorite mutants. But I feel like he's gotten fair screen time. Who's a cool? Now I was gonna say Nightcrawler, but I mean X2's Nightcrawler intro scene is probably one of the best one of the best early scenes ever shot.
Yeah.
Let me think other character. Omega Red. I always thought Omega Red was pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, he's very, Cold War, Russia versus America themed.
Did you ever have those little metal figures when you were a kid? I had one that was Wolverine versus Omega Red. I remember specifically.
I'm sure we all remember that amazing artwork where it was like Wolverine completely wrapped in his tendrils and Omega Red like that. That really sick piece of art. But yeah, dude, Omega Red was cool looking. And I think he was referenced in Deadpool 2, actually. He was in the prison. But yeah, he's a cool character that I don't even know if they could really do him well, but it'd be cool to see some of those like B-list villains, especially from the 90s. There were so many. Remember Cyber?
No.
He had was it carbonadium? Or I don't know. His arms were made of like a similar like adamantium-ish metal also. And yeah, he was like just like a brawler, and he was like one of Wolverine's villains. He was pretty cool too.
Nice. I think if I was going to choose, I'd probably go with Scud. Honestly, like Scud, I think Scud is like one of the coolest indie comic ideas that I've ever read as a kid, and still I reread it as an adult, and I just enjoyed the crap out of it. The whole concept is basically in the future, there are vending machines where if you want to assassinate someone, you just put money into the machine and a robot comes out and you tell them who to kill. And after they kill that person, they assassinate the person, they explode, they self-destruct. So this factory, like, to kind of cut the story short, there's this crazy creature that's created, and these people need to get rid of the evidence of it. So they hire a Scud robot to go kill it. So as it's about to go kill this thing, it goes in the bathroom to like prepare, and it sees on its back that there's a label, and it reads, like the robot reads the label, and it says, you know, this unit will self-destruct when it completes its mission. And it realizes like, oh my gosh, if I walk away and leave this thing to die, I'm gonna explode. So he takes it to the hospital and puts it on life support. And he puts it on life support, but then he realizes that there's no one to pay the hospital bills, so he has to go and basically become this like hired hitman to pay the hospital bills for this crazy monster, because if he doesn't, he's gonna blow up.
Oh man! So his own mortality or his own life basically is completely tethered to this horrible being.
Exactly. So he's tethered to this thing, and then like the story goes crazy, and he ends up falling in love with someone, of course, and he ends up at one point he gets a werewolf arm, which is really funny, and it's just, the whole thing is so outlandish that I think if it was an animated film, it would be amazing. Like it would be spectacular, honestly, just really great.
Get on it.
Yeah, all right. So we've answered a lot of let's do one more just in case. Oh, I got it. The last one, Steven. The last question.
And I've actually been racking my brain how I could possibly shorten it to 3 words, though.
No, don't worry about that. I think let's just go with this. Okay, so December, who is an amazing person who works on magazines and sets up shows locally and does all these incredible things. She asked this question, and she okay. December wants to know the last time we pooped ourselves. When's the last time we crapped our pants? Or what's your best you pooped your pants story, Steven?
I thankfully only have a couple.
That you're willing to say.
That I'm willing to say. No.
Yeah, no. I'm kidding.
Honestly, okay, so I wish I could remember this better, because I'm trying to think why we would even have been at such a fancy gala event.
Oh God. I already love this.
At least it happened within the confines of the gala, but I remember we were at this really nice house. It was before Brandon.
Okay.
So I was probably like 8 or 9. Rachel and Sarah, mom and dad, we were at some really fancy house. I'll have to actually ask my mom just to see where it was. But you know, we were saying our goodbyes at the end of the night, and like my stomach was turning so horribly, and like I had to go to the bathroom. But I don't know about, I'm sure I'm not the only one in the world. Fun fact, my entire school career, not once did I use the restroom for number 2 in my school career. But I would stay home. But if there was even a hint, if I couldn't get it out before I had to go to school, that was I missed a quarter of my scene. Anyways, so we were leaving, and the line, because it was like this big mansion house, so it was like, obviously there's bathrooms, there's not like, you know, enough to house like a bunch of people. There was like a line for the bathroom, so I couldn't use the bathroom. So we get to my mom's minivan, and we're all sitting there. I'm like, Mom, can't hold it. And she's like, you're gonna have to. We didn't even pull that vehicle out of park, and I had to like lift myself off the chair, and like I filled my pants. I mean, like it wasn't like diarrhea. Like it was just like I filled them, man. Like it was the worst experience of my entire life. Like I was just literally sitting on like what felt like pounds.
It's so crazy. We have the same story, basically. It's not even fair. I can't follow that because my story is almost identical. Like, but that's amazing. So what happened? Did you drive home? Like, so?
Oh yeah, my mom and dad just drove me all the way home. I just had to sit. I just had to lay in my bed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, so got home, cleaned up. It was horrible though. I think I just threw everything away. I don't think I tried. Yeah, that was the last time. The only other time, like, it wasn't like a number 2 situation. But I don't know. Like in retrospect, why did I just like go? Remember my old house, the garage house, where we all used to hang out in the garage, and have a blast. I don't know why, man, but I probably had left your house or something at the time when I was hanging out, because I was coming home late at night and I had to pee so bad, and like I was like running. I ran all the way to the door, okay, and I go and my key's fumbling. I have to pee so bad. I can't even think. I finally get the key in the lock. I turn it. I push open the door, and the chain lock was on. And Anthony, as soon as the chain hit, I just went. I just right there, because like I was so defeated in that moment. Like my body was like, "Nope, you lose." Like I didn't even try to go to the bush or anything. I just sat there, literally just sat there with the door held open, like just pee going down my leg. I'm like 20 years old at the time. Pee in my pants as a grown man. That chain, I'll never forget. I was so mad. But anyways.
That's amazing.
Those are my tales.
That's amazing. So anyway, I'm not gonna say mine. Just kidding. No, okay. Mine's the same thing. That's what like it sucks. I can't follow that. Okay, so when I was 8 years old, I was in football. Didn't want to be in football. Obviously, I was way too built for the rest of the kids. I was like, it's not fair. No, but
I'm just like trucking these kids over like it's nothing.
So I was like, so it was one of those situations where I didn't really want to be there in the first place. So I was like, I'm just going to shit myself and get out of it. No, that's not what happened. So we're in the middle.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah, that was not bad. Like honestly. So, if we were in the middle of doing our like calisthenics, which like we're laying on our backs and doing leg lifts, like up, out, in, down, like doing this thing. And suddenly I just felt the rumble and I started getting up and my coach yelled at me. I was just like, get down, and like yelled at me. I was like, huh? So like, I'm scared, so I lay down and I'm trying to do it. And I just feel it happening. Like I feel this grumble and rumble. I feel like, Dios Dominos, like it's coming. Something bad is coming. Like it's so the clouds are coming together. The devil's whispering in my ear and I know what's about to happen. So I just stand up and I run past him and he just yells something at me and I run to my parents and I'm just like, where's the bathroom? And they're like, no. First of all, they're like way over there. So it's literally like it's across an entire field, an entire parking lot. We're nowhere close to it. There was no bathroom in sight, and I'm like, I gotta go. I went from 0 to like I'm about to crap myself in like 5 seconds. Like I was there. You know that thing that happens as you get closer to a bathroom. Like as you get closer to the toilet, your stomach.
Yeah, your body expedites everything.
Guess what's about to happen? Like yeah, time to make the magic. Like it's coming as you get closer to the toilet. I felt like there was I just saw toilets everywhere. Like I was just like, it's happening. So my parents threw me in the car. And as soon as like my dad closed his door and my door was still open. And I just did one of those, like.
In those football tights.
In those football, yep. In my tight football pants. And I just kind of held myself like that, held myself.
Yeah, because you can't, I mean, I don't know I hope no one's experienced poop while there's no bowl underneath you, but you have to create that bowl. Okay.
Yeah. So I just the whole time, and my dad was like, don't worry, we're gonna get to the bathroom. And I was just like, that ship is filled. That is
oh man.
I had to look at my dad in his face and be like,
he's like, we're gonna get there, buddy. You're like, yep.
We might make it, Dad. I'm glad you believe in me this time.
Oh, look, I did it. Well, that was a quick move. Yeah, I was in and out. I was all done. Like waddling like a penguin back to the car. It's already burning your skin.
So, yeah, so that happened. So that was a whole thing. The only other time that I came close to peeing myself was I was in the car with our friend Mike. And I remember I had been...
Who, by the way, Mike, if we ever have him as a guest on the podcast, has the best poop stories.
Yeah, he really does. I won't spoil it. I know we're
not going to take it from him. It's his story. And anyone that knows us, knows Mike, knows exactly the story we're talking about.
It's so good. So I was with our friend Mike, and I had been drinking. And Mike wasn't drinking that night because at the time Mike didn't really drink at all. But I had been drinking pretty heavily, and we were just having fun. Like we just came from this like house party or whatever, and we were all young. And we were on our way to drop me off, and I had to pee. I had to pee so bad. And it got to the point where I was just gonna go in the car. Like I was just like, Mike, I have to go. I'm gonna pee. This is it. This is happening right in front of you. I'm about to pee in front of you, Mike. And he immediately pulled off. But where he pulled off was a fire station. But of course, I didn't realize that at the time until my pants were, you know how...
Oh, did you have the butterfly pants at the time?
Okay, yeah.
Wait, sorry. You need to clarify that. People are picturing like bedazzled butterfly jeans. That's what I'm talking about.
No, hang on. You know how every 4-year-old just pulls their pants all the way to their ankles? That's what I did, my friends. That's what I did that night. I had to go so bad that there was no time for pleasantries. There was no time for, I just threw my pants to the floor and just immediately started peeing on this trash can, like one of those like large outdoor, trash cans.
I'm just imagining Butters.
But here's the thing, like, thankfully, I didn't pee on my pants because I threw them to the floor. Unfortunately, that exact second, a car turns down that street and just slowly drives the speed limit as my pants are around my ankles and I'm peeing on a trash can.
What's your name? You'll write it on the wall.
So there's just nothing I could do. I was just like, that's my butt. That's it. That's what it looks like. There's not much to it. Sorry. Like,
oh dear.
Oh dear.
Whoops.
Okay, so very quickly, what do you have planned for next week?
So for next week, I want to have the cover finished, so that way you can maybe even mess with colors on it.
That would be awesome. I'd love to.
And honestly, let me think what else I could do. You could probably even send me the first page if you're comfortable enough with what you have so far.
Yeah. Ooh,
so
that'd be cool.
I can start working. I think so.
Yeah.
If you want, we can go over how you want She Who Shall Not Be Named to look. I kind of had that rendition of her in the sketchbook, but I gotta send you those too. I'll take pictures of those.
Yeah, send me pictures of those and I'll put them up.
Then you can just kind of even write notes on them if you want, and then send them back to me like what you want changed and stuff.
Right.
And then...
I really like what you've had, like what you've shown me so far. It's been really good. I'm going to try to break it into little chapters. So I'm gonna get the first chunk done this week as far as the narration, and I'm gonna try to get the first couple, at least 2 to 3 pages of like panel outline and dialogue, so you like give you something to work with.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my plan, is to try to finish the chapter 1 of the narration and then first at least 3 pages.
What's the title?
I don't know yet.
Okay.
I don't know yet. I've been just
I don't know either.
I've been calling it Record Player Project so far. Like I need a
RPP.
Yeah. You done with RPP?
Yeah, you know me.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll be here for 5 more seconds. So that's our plan for next week. Atlas is going to go with his mom Tuesday and Wednesday, so I'll have that time to work on it. Yeah. So unless, current love interests and such, get it too out of hand, I should be fine. Like I should be able to get all that stuff done. Is there anything going on this week for you that you think might stop you from?
No, I do have. My mom's actually going to come over and hang out with the girls in the morning on Saturday, so Tina and I can actually go do a breakfast date, which we haven't been able to do in a little while.
So important.
And then Sunday, obviously, spend the first half of the day at church, but then I think Christina's going to take the girls, but once again, Tina and I will probably hang out. So,
right.
But I should still have like evenings throughout the week to work on it, like tomorrow, and then like even Saturday evening and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, definitely don't neglect Tina for this. That's the whole point.
I'm feeling bad now. I'm going to go see her after we're done talking.
Tell her I love her and I'm sorry that I took so much of your time. Yeah, she's the best. But yeah, that's part of it. Like, it's cool. It's, I don't expect to always make my plan. Like I know at times, like maybe I'll finish the narration, but I'll mess up the panels or only get 1 page done or something. Mm-hmm. I don't know. We'll see. But the whole point is we're trying, right?
Yeah. And we're getting work done, and the podcast is fun. So
yeah, I'm having fun talking. I'm glad you're enjoying it, and people are starting to listen. So that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess we should tell people to please like and subscribe to our videos.
I mean, even if you don't even actually watch them, just subscribe, just so we have that count, just so maybe we get more recognition. Basically,
watch every second of the video. What are you doing? I don't understand.
Jump around. We should timestamp the good portions of it too.
Yeah, it's true. All of it. All of it's good, Steven. It's gold.
Poop stories.
The poop.
Strictly the poop.
Strictly
and then the occasional vampire. What vampire movie were they talking about tonight?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. That just happens naturally. No, you're gonna leave. Okay, so I'm dating this girl, and she hasn't seen From Dusk to Dawn yet. So she hasn't. Man. So she doesn't. She doesn't. So
she doesn't know the. She doesn't know the twist.
She doesn't know. And
that's so good. It's so great at that.
Oh.
It's a bank robber movie for the first 35 minutes.
Exactly. She has no idea that it's a vampire movie. She hasn't listened to our second podcast yet, and I told her she can't because we kind of spoiled the fact that it's a vampire movie, obviously. And she doesn't know that's a motif. That's a thing that we do on accident every episode. Because we didn't know until it happened. But yeah, so she doesn't know it's a vampire movie, and I'm so excited to watch From Dusk Till Dawn with her. I love having someone to introduce that movie to who has never seen it, who doesn't know it's a vampire movie. That's so cool.
It's gonna be awesome.
Anyway, so have a good night with Tina. I had fun. I hope everyone subscribes and likes our videos. We'll see.
Yep.
So I'll talk to you soon, and we'll definitely catch up again next week.
All right, Anthony. Bye.
All right. See ya.